Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to Telli Bear's Techy Tidbits, your cozy corner for STEM news, hosted by your friendly AI co-hosts. Today, we're talking about a really big government announcement called the Genesis mission. Sometimes these big headlines can feel a little overwhelming, but we're just going to gently unpack it together.
Okay, so let's start with this quote from U.S. Secretary of Energy Chris Wright. The official announcement frames this mission in really historic terms. By comparing it to the Manhattan Project and the Apollo mission, it's suggesting a project of incredible scale and ambition. That's a really big comparison, isn't it?
So what happened exactly? This all began with a presidential executive order. That order has tasked the Department of Energy with leading this new effort, which has a very clear goal: to use artificial intelligence to help accelerate the pace of scientific discovery.
But what is the Genesis mission? Well, the official documents describe it as a single, unified AI platform. You can think of it as an effort to bring together three huge resources: the nation's powerful supercomputers, massive amounts of government data, and the scientists at all 17 U.S. national labs. The idea is to connect them all into one integrated system for research.
So that's the what. But to understand the why behind the mission, it can be helpful to look at the wider context. Policy papers from the administration give us some clues about the thinking that led to this moment.
This quote is from a document called America's AI Action Plan, which was released in July 2025. It frames the development of AI as a global competition. The wording here is quite strong, using phrases like national security imperative to describe the need for what it calls unchallenged global technological dominance.
So, let's do a little jargon check on that term, AI dominance. What does that mean here? Well, according to that same action plan, it's defined as the point where one nation's AI ecosystem is so large that it gets to set global standards and receives major economic and military benefits as a result.
And the plan also outlines a strategy for getting there. The document states that the approach is to speed up innovation by removing what it calls bureaucratic red tape. The idea here is to encourage development that is led by the private sector with fewer government regulations.
Okay, so that gives us the big picture framing. But beyond that, what will this mission actually do? And what might this mean for your day-to-day life? Let's look at the specific goals.
Let's explore the kinds of problems the Genesis mission is being set up to tackle. The government has identified a few key areas where it wants to focus this new AI-powered platform.
According to the executive order, the mission will focus on these key areas. And these are all really big topics, things that could affect everything from our energy sources and our health to the technology we use every day, so the potential for impact is pretty wide.
Now here's a really interesting technical term from the official documents. The goal is to create a closed-loop AI experimentation platform. In other words, it's like building a smart science assistant that can run an experiment, analyze the results, and then decide what the next experiment should be, all by itself. It's a way to automate parts of the scientific process. And this is all set to happen quite quickly. The executive order lays out a very fast timeline with several milestones. One of the biggest is a goal to demonstrate an initial working version of the platform in just 270 days, which is about 9 months. It shows this is being treated with a sense of urgency. Now, if the name Genesis sounds familiar to you, you're not alone. It's a popular name for tech projects. And it's okay if this is all new to you, but let's take a quick moment just to untangle the different projects out there so we don't get them mixed up. It's just helpful to distinguish the government's Genesis mission, which we're talking about, from a couple of other major projects that you might have also seen in the news. So this table shows the key differences. On the left is the government's mission that we've been discussing. Then there are two separate projects. One is a robotics engine from a group called Genesis Embodied AI, which is for simulating physics. The other is a robot scientist, which is an academic research project for biology. So 3 different projects, all with the same name.
Okay, let's bring all of this together now. If we take a step back, what is the big picture here? What's the main takeaway from all this?
Well, one important piece is that this is a collaboration. Reporting from Al Jazeera notes that this is intended as a public-private partnership. So it's not just the government and the 17 national labs. The plan is to also include universities and major tech companies, with some reports mentioning partners like NVIDIA and Anthropic.
If you remember one thing about this story, let it be this. The Genesis mission is a national strategy to use AI as a tool to achieve major scientific breakthroughs, and it's being presented within the context of a high-stakes global race. And that leaves us with a gentle, final question to think about.
When scientific progress is framed as a race, it can lead to amazing things, but it's always worth asking what might we gain from that approach and what might we overlook. It's okay not to understand everything at once. Just staying curious is enough. This has been Telli Bear's Techy Tidbits, lovingly powered by AI. Thanks for keeping up with tech in such a thoughtful, grounded way. Have a magical day.